All right, welcome back to episode 28 of the 20 Pages Book Club. On today's episode, we start book number 2, Babel. But before that, we go through a quick weekend recap discussing anything important that's happened over the past 3 weeks while we've been away. We then talk chapters 1 through the interlude, discussing our thoughts throughout, and then we finish up with Scriblio. So looking forward to a great episode. Let's go. All right, we're back after, what is it, 3 weeks between our first book of 2024. We're back, nice and recharged. So since we've had a couple weeks off, why don't we start with a recap of what's happened? Tyler, start us off. How's your break been?
It's been good. Spent some valuable time with my girlfriend. She enjoyed the first Lord of the Rings movie, so that was that was big for me. We got through the first one without her sleeping, so that was a big moral victory for me. I think I'm in return. I had to watch the Twilight movies though, so
I
I'll be a
I
dad
heard
big.
Tyler I heard Tyler midday yesterday trying to convince her to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy with him.
Blink 3 times if you need help.
But besides that, good. Obviously waiting for the Super Bowl this upcoming weekend. Excited to see what comes of that. It's always a fun time to watch that. Nebraska basketball has been cruising. Lost last night to Illinois. I'll get ahead of it. Or lost tonight to Illinois. I'll get ahead of it. But
I don't know. I don't know if I had anything to brag. I don't know if I had anything to brag about that game, so I don't even know if
it's
I
been a
was.
away game. We took them to overtime. Nothing to be ashamed about. In my eyes, not gonna look bad on the resume. So big win over Wisconsin. So we got a win over Wisconsin and Purdue, which is going to look good when March comes around. So that's all for me. We're doing some interviews at work too. We'll see how it comes to that. That's it.
For what, like new position? Or are you hiring people?
No, no. Another promotion. It'd be like the next
Oh,
level up.
the Wolf of Oakbrook. He's back.
Not
This is young
not expecting to get it, but I wanted to get my name out there. So Kevin.
All right. Went went on a ski trip last weekend in Michigan. It was kind of underwhelming because it had been so warm. The snow was like slush. It was like I was skiing in icy, but it was still fun. And then last night, one of my buddies, he got a party bus for his birthday, and we were cruising around the no, which way is that? Western Iowa bars, and then like some Wisconsin bars that could barely hold like the party bus held 30 people, and some of these bars, I swear their capacity was like 35 people. So it was interesting, but have been violently hungover all day. Haven't drank probably like drank in like 2 or 3 months. Drank a lot last night, and yeah, so I've been in pain all day. But so if you see me yawning at all, that's probably why.
Is this
Uh,
no drinking policy a result of the training?
yeah, and my hangovers have just been so bad recently that like today I was literally useless. I was in my bed for 80% of the day and I did nothing. I went and tried to play a soccer game, played like 10 minutes, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't it. I got tripped, fell on the ground once, and I was like, damn, that didn't feel good. It sounded like the hardwood floor, and I was just like, that's it. And I just sat out. So, but yeah, training's going good too. Got
When's the marathon?
the half is in it's like March 16th, and then the full will be September something, end of September, I think. It's one of the easiest courses it's in St. Charles, Geneva. You run just along the river and then you cross somewhere down in like Aurora or something, and you just run back up to St. Charles. I think it starts in St. Charles, just right along the Fox. So that'll be cool. But
Are you running with guys from Dubuque or no? Or just you?
the the one for St. Patrick's Day, we have like 25, 30 people all going to Des Moines to run it. So that'll be really fun. And then we're gonna go out for St. Patty's Day down there. But the St. Charles one right now. It's just me. So
Well, I'll be there supporting.
yeah, I need some signs. I need you guys to
Well,
make
we'll get
sure.
a 20 pages sponsorship on there.
Yeah,
The
you
first,
guys just print out the logo and I'll duct tape it to my shirt.
you actually have to run with the book in your hands.
Send me a 20 pages band or sweatband for my head.
You have to read, and then there were none during the marathon. You have to finish it.
It's like the guy I saw running.
That should be our challenge. We have to finish a book before Kevin finishes his marathon.
Oh God, yeah. But besides that, nothing really. Jared,
Nothing much besides last weekend I was in Vegas for my dad's birthday. We went to go see U2 at the Sphere, which was incredible. I'm not even the biggest U2 fan, but like it was easily the craziest concert I've ever been to.
It's a
Just
beautiful
like
day.
yeah, the acoustics.
What's
I'm
that?
not usually also a fan of the acoustics in indoor stadiums, but the Sphere like blew it out of the water, and then you throw in all the visuals. It was crazy. Uh, I can't imagine who else they're gonna have in there because some of the things you can do is insane.
I'm
Would
not.
definitely recommend though, don't get section 100 seats because half of the awning overhangs over it, and you won't be able to see this like the full globe. So if you do go, sections 200, 300, and 400 are the ones you wanna, unless you're like section 100 at the first like 3 rows.
I feel like if
They
I
charge
went,
more for the higher
Honestly,
levels.
don't know. My dad was paying, so I luckily didn't have to fork over the money for it. But I imagine they're probably a little bit more expensive, but honestly, I don't know. I don't know. We got them pretty early, so they're pretty reasonable when you think of concert tickets. I think they're like 3 something per, which I mean it's still pricey, but like you'd think they'd be like, I think now they're like 800 because everyone sees how the visuals are and stuff. So
How
definitely would recommend.
did you do at the craps table?
I think I lost like 150 the whole weekend. It wasn't terrible. Could have been worse. Could have been way worse.
You walk out
Actually,
of Vegas minus 150 down. You're living.
the
You're
thing that was keeping me
getting the loss.
yeah, the thing that was keeping me afloat was actually sports betting, which is good to see because anything on the table floors was a bloodbath for me. Oh yeah, Christian, want to round us up? Round us up. I wasn't sure if anyone else was gonna say it. No.
Sure. I'll wrap us up here. This weekend didn't do a whole lot besides last night. Had my sisters over and my girlfriend over, and I played chef. I made some red wine braised short ribs and mashed potatoes. It came out
Nice.
quite nicely, if I say so myself. Um, and we enjoyed some wine and just sat around talking, and that was about it. Kind of a chill weekend. Haven't actually like been out or drank heavily in quite a while, which I'm fine with. Get those nasty hangovers like Kevin, so I'll take it.
I don't think I've been out since we were last out for New Year's. Honestly,
Yeah,
honestly,
me neither.
it's kind of nice,
It is kind of
refreshing. You actually like
saving a lot of money around here.
saving
Like a
me and
human
you.
being on Sundays. Yeah.
Yeah, like today, I'm like not kidding. Like nothing productive got done. Like thank God I had finished. I had like 2 chapters left. If I had any more, like I probably would just have turned. I would have just folded.
collapsed.
I couldn't read. My head hurt so bad when I woke up. Like I wanted.
Yeah.
I was planning on reading in the morning, and then I woke up and I was like, dude, this is not gonna work.
That's how you know it's bad when you can't do anything except for kind of just sit there and try to get through it.
Close your eyes. Stare at the wall.
Potato. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. With that, probably a good transition point to get in our chapter summaries. So, as Jared mentioned, we are going through chapters 1 through 15 and plus the interlude of Ramy. So,
Wait, we were reading the interlude. I thought it was up to the interlude.
no, we read the interlude.
I did the same thing. Then I read it. I checked last second. And I was like, oh, we are.
See, I always do this. I always like stop one chapter short. I've done this like 3 times now. You'd think I would learn it.
You didn't.
It's
miss
okay, you
anything.
didn't miss much. I
It-
was
I was gonna
going to
say
nominate
the
as
worst
an
chapter.
early
or something.
contender for first chapter.
I looked at
If
it.
there's no other interludes, I would consider this one of the worst chapters.
It really just told you his perspective of the same thing we just experienced in the last chapter.
I didn't retain any of it, to be honest. I couldn't tell you what happened. It was just about him.
I think there's an
Basically, if you-
interlude for
if
all
you-
4 of them, so we can nominate maybe all of them if they all suck.
There's a couple in
if you
here that
mirror- if you mirror Robin's experience and just apply it to Ramy, that's what it was.
they're the exact same character. Anyways, good point to start. All right. As we mentioned, we got a lot of pages to cover, so I'm gonna read fast. If you want to interrupt me, feel free. Book 1, Chapter 1. Professor Lovell entered the plague-filled house to find a boy sitting beside his dead mother. Their house had long been ransacked by plague thieves. What's wrong with you guys? Aided by a silver medal bar, Lovell was able to cure the boy. With that, the two prepared some books and began to leave. The plague, idiotic, cholera, I don't know, cholera? I don't know.
Cholera?
Cholera, sorry, that's on me.
Cholera. Yeah, I thought it was cholera.
I thought it was cholera.
I don't know, actually. I'm just saying that. We would not be Babel students.
I
Yeah.
prefer to not say what I think it is.
I almost studied at
Cholera.
Oxford, by the way.
I thought it was cholera, to be honest, but
I'm gonna look up how to pronounce it.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
get a
whatever.
protection. It doesn't get mentioned at all for the rest of the book, so it doesn't matter. Has made its way from Calcutta to the boy's town of Canton, wiping out most of its inhabitants. The boy was taken to
It's cholera.
Okay, thank you.
Like collard greens.
Collard greens.
Yeah.
oh,
All right, the boy was taken to the.
Pleasure, Ray.
We got to get through this, guys.
Ching, ching, by anything.
pop that.
We got to get through this.
Down, 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 down.
I feel like I'm
Cruiser
in
on
ETA lobby.
3.5. Yeah.
All right. The boy was taken to the professor's place. There, he was cared for by Mrs. Piper, a Scottish woman in tandem with the professor. Once recovered, the boy joined the professor in the study. There, he was presented with books. For a Chinese boy, he spoke good English, thanks to Miss Betty, who had succumbed to the plague. In addition, a parcel of books he would receive every year that he would put together may have come from the professor. Despite the learnings, he's too dumb to understand an Adam Smith book on international economics, or in parentheses, or he's a commie. Professor Lovell decided to retry an experiment with the silver bar, which caused the boy to almost choke to death, but decided that the results were good. With that concluded, he told the boy the 3 of them were going to go to London. The boy would study under him and sign the contract. The boy had some special ability related to the silver bar. With a handshake, the boy had named himself Robin Swift. 2 days later, they boarded the ship to London, operated by the East Indian Company, mentioned in previous books from this book club. First, they encountered a Cantonese man attempting to board their ship with a contract. The seaman denied his contact. He would not let the man board. Robin worked to translate. Robin made the decision to tell the man that he must leave, in which he did. With that, they departed. On their journey, Lovell admitted that he knew Robin's family. He had met them when they were a rich merchant family. Robin explained that their uncle had lost all their money. At least that's what he was told. Within weeks, they arrived in London. With that, Robin had left his old life behind. Abandoning it was the only way he could survive. Self-preservation is a theme throughout this book. Any thoughts on the initial chapter? I mean, it's been so long since I read that chapter that it was almost a refresher.
It felt like kind of Harry Potter-ish to start. The mother dead and the professor coming to rescue him.
I was gonna make that point later in this book. I think this author wanted to make her own version of Harry Potter.
She failed miserably.
It's a chamber of secrets.
It just feels like how she passes through time is very similar to how Harry Potter does with the school and like in and out of semesters but whatever. We'll get to it. Any other thoughts on the starting off? Strong start, bad start? What were your initial feelings?
Slow start,
Slow
in my
start.
opinion, but
Yeah.
at least it
Yeah.
picked up. So
All right, chapter 2. To Robin, London was vicious. It was the richest city in the world, and it accumulated the lion's share of both the world's silver ore and the world's languages. Despite this, it was also poor in many ways. Most importantly to Robin, it was lined with silver. Silver working is what Professor Lovell brought him to London to do. With that, they headed for Hampstead. There, Robin entered his room to find it lived in. He pondered if a boy had lived there before him. Despite the thoughts he was called down, Lovell took him to run errands, which included making him a British citizen. Returning home, they sat for dinner. There, Lovell revealed he was a professor at Oxford, a place he dearly loved and the center of the intellectual world. The next day, Robin began classes with a Mr. Felton, who began teaching him basic grammar and Latin, the roots. Robin felt exhausted by the amount of vocabulary he was given. However, there was no time to rest. Mr. Chester arrived to teach him Greek. He was less accepting than Mr. Felton. Upon ending, Robin felt exhausted, but Professor Lovell contested that he should be proud of what he's learned. With that, that's how his days commenced. Latin and Greek dominated his days, with Lovell practicing his Mandarin with him in the evenings. It helped him remember. Robin began getting into a routine. Sometimes Professor Lovell would have scholars over there. They would discuss matters, and Robin would eavesdrop on the conversations. In one instance, he felt the need to interrupt. The group was discussing Canton. He was curious about his homeland. More importantly, a guest compared him to one of Lovell's previous guests, saying the resemblance was uncanny. This caused Robin to question his existence. Was Lovell his father? He ultimately decided that he would be thankful for his arrangements and never ask questions about it. Lovell began his term at Oxford, which gave Robin space. He could explore London in his free time, letting him become more and more comfortable to London. Anyways, learning the intricacies of living in Britain, slang, humor, politics, religion, etc. Moving on, Robin really liked scones and novels. Noticing this, Professor Lovell took him to the bookstore and got him his first book, The King's Own by Frederick Marryat. The next day, Robin cracked it open and began reading. He was enthralled by the story of high plunder on the seas, the bravery, and the adventures. However, he was interrupted by Lovell. He had been reading for 3 hours. Mr. Chester was waiting. After a bad response for keeping him waiting, Lovell beat the shit out of Robin. Take that, nerd. Uh, author again points out that this author is racist, so the character never reads him again. Sure. Then Lovell starts going on a racist rant about how Chinese people can't advance, and that Robin must get his polluted blood out of him. With the beating, Robin apologized and swore that he would never embarrass Lovell again. With that, he went to class. With this lesson, Robin worked hard for the next 6 years, mastering Latin and Greek. Around him, Britain got a new king. An epidemic killed thousands in London, and slavery was abolished to the disappointment of Lovell's friends. Robin decided that these topics weren't for him. He had to focus on his studies. With that, he got the call up to Oxford. He said his goodbyes to Mrs. Piper, who began to get teary-eyed.
Lots to unpack there.
Lot to unpack there.
So I need to get to the bottom of this right now. These footnotes at the bottom. What are these about? Because it's like she's
They're like other
presenting,
stories. Yeah.
yeah, she's presenting them as their like fact, but then it's like some of them I was reading them as first as like actual facts, and then some of them started talking about like silver stuff, and
I
I'm
don't.
like, okay,
I almost feel like she doesn't know how to use footnotes.
Yeah, and also I was gonna point this out. The asterisks that she uses to point out a footnote are so incredibly small
Oh,
that
you can't see
pretty
them.
much skip
yeah,
over them
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
and
I
don't
read
care to
right through
read the
them.
footnote at all.
I
yeah.
was complaining about that a lot. I was like, I actually like looked at a page and could not find it for 10 minutes. I was getting pissed.
Yeah, that happened to me on like the first one. It was right after a quotation mark, and I was like, I can't find this. I'm not reading the
The
footnote.
thing I don't like about it, a lot of them, she just inserts her thoughts as the footnote. And you're reading a fiction book, so I'm trying to get lost in like the world that she's trying to build. And then she just puts a footnote on the bottom, which is like, this author was actually incredibly racist. So it's busy.
I think you have to go back to her prologue where she said you can't get mad because it's just a fiction book.
Well,
It's uh
I just want it to be a fiction book, though. Can have real life themes.
someone create a clip of Tyler getting lost in the fictional world.
Tyler discovering historical fiction for the first time.
Oh, like I actually like the historical fiction parts of this book. She works in some cool historical events like the Telegraph and stuff we see later on, but that's not what's in the footnotes. The footnotes is just her thoughts on authors that I don't think really have.
Yeah, she
I've
does a
read like
lot
half
to
of
call
them.
out other works, and then she does it a lot to explain the like languages, to do translations and describe like root words and things like that. I've noticed.
I
Yeah,
found
it's like
some
Chinese
of
on the bottom.
I've found some of the language stuff interesting. Like, admittedly, I only really look at the Spanish ones because that's the only other language I know. But I do think some of that's interesting, but I end up not. I've maybe read like 40% of the footnotes.
Here's one of my big complaints about the book. It treats you like, I was talking with Christian about this. It sometimes treats you like you're a middle schooler and you don't understand basic comments like basic topics like racism or colonialism. Like it's got to beat you over the head with it. Like you don't understand what she's trying to say. Like every character's got to be racist in every chapter. It's like I get the characters are very racist. It's 1830s London.
It's also very surface level, like colonialism. I think we talked about like it's very basic concepts of racism. It's like in your face, very much
Hey guys,
to
just
the point where you don't have to call it out. She could just leave it as is instead of leaving footnotes for like why certain things are racist.
also like can we just do a hands up as a podcast? We all think colonialism is pretty bad, right? Hands up.
This is delay on Kevin's screen.
Kevin didn't hear
Well,
that for a second.
No, I did. I wanted to see if Christian would abstain as well. But
But I mean, it's just like it feels like you're just getting beat over the head. If you guys were talking about Interlude being for the of worst chapter of the year for the pages, I actually want to nominate this chapter because it's every character is racist in every like couple sentences. Just like I get the point.
she also
Sure,
beats us.
we can go ahead and nominate it.
She also beats us over the head with foreshadowing. Like every chapter, like
Uh,
I swear every chapter has something like where it was like, oh, that he looks awfully uncanny. To like the last one, basically, is what one of the people said about presumably.
I don't think she understands subtlety at all.
No, I was just about to say that. Go ahead. I
Go ahead.
it's she it's as soon as something is uncovered, she doesn't let the reader have time to develop their own thinking. It's just, oh, Professor Lovell made this, or someone made this comment about uncanniness, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, Professor Lovell's his father. And then with Griffin, uh, Robin, I will get to this, but Robin saw him and he looked like his doppelganger, and immediately he was his brother. You already knew. You didn't have time to guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a long one. All right.
the first couple chapters were pretty tough. I know me and Tyler were talking about it on the side a little bit, but I was kind of like it was hard to get into the first couple ones.
Yeah, the story starts kicking up at a certain point here. But Robin and Lovell board the train. On the train, Robin encounters a racist lady who suspects him of being a pickpocketer and asks if he's Oriental. Then a little kid asks if he could see, making fun of the Asian stereotype. I wrote in parentheses, the author said he had similar facial features to Lovell in the previous chapter, but now he has Asian eyes, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. After a long journey, they arrived in Oxford. Professor Lovell had a difficult time saying goodbye, so it was an awkward farewell. With that, Robin entered his dorm, finding a friend, Ramiz Rafi Mirza. He was from Calcutta and shared a similar background to Robin. Given this, the pair instantly bonded on their Asian heritage. After a long night, the pair retreated to bed. For the next 3 days, Robin would have some of the best days of his life exploring Oxford with Ramy. Pair drew a lot of attention due to their complexion. However, Ramy used this as an opportunity to tell people he was royalty, using the gossip to spread his image. At sunsets, they settled for a picnic and they touched each other. I'm assuming they're gay at this point.
I was gonna say something about this too.
Yeah.
Well,
Robin's been
I
doing a
think
lot of sitting on the sidelines.
Robin at one point described like his golden brown skin in like the twilight.
he's got to hit all the check marks. So
Again, nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
Top candidate
Just
for
just an
asexual.
observation.
yeah. I mean, I think it's very obvious that the author hints that he's at least bisexual. All right. Throughout the weekend, more members of their dorm started to arrive. It was here that Robin and Ramy, sorry, mixed the two names together, learned that robes were very important. They showed status. They also met when the Sharp brothers were shockingly very racist to Ramy and Robin. Edward revealed that the only way foreigners could get in the university was through being a babbler. By the morning, it was clear that the dorm was not going to be friends. Given this, the pair went to the library and were greeted by Reverend Dr. Bandonil. He showed the pair the extensive collection contained within the building. At night, they studied past closing hours and walked into the moonlight. On their walk, they encountered a group of racists, uh, another racist group from another college, and they ran when confronted. Upon catching their breath, Ramy realized he had forgotten his notebook. Being a good friend, Robin went back into the library. There, he discovered someone speaking Chinese in the street. They were struggling to turn invisible in the street, the silver bars not working. The group asked for help. One of them looked exactly like Robin. With one spoken word from Robin, the group disappeared like featureless forms, including Robin. And just in time, a group had come looking for them. With the Seekers gone, they rematerialized. The original group considered killing Robin, but the leader rejected it, telling Robin to meet at the Twisted Root. With that, Robin returned home. Ramy and him both realized the same thing. They were men in Oxford, but they would never be Oxford men.
No comment.
I'm just realizing, was this the moment that Griffin killed that Evie girl?
No, I think that was.
No, that was years ago.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah, before.
okay, my bad.
I also don't even know if that's true. I don't know if he killed her.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll save that one for the when we get there.
After.
But do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, we got some more racist people, a lot of racism, a lot more racism. Any thoughts about the initial encounter with Griffin?
The Tyler count for the word racism being said is at 21 right now. So
Well,
Yeah, if you're keeping score at home, you cash the over.
read the book. I mean, it's just.
I looked up how to say the Chinese word they use for disappear.
Oh, no.
You ready?
Yeah.
Wuxing.
Dan, how'd you know that?
I read the book. Were you gonna say it a special way?
No, I was gonna say it exactly like that. That was pretty good.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
How do
say
we say it again? Let's say it again. Uxing?
Utsing.
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 Why do you sound like German when you're saying that?
All right, we should probably cut.
Oh,
We should probably cut that bit.
No, you're trying.
I didn't realize this. Like, why are single Chinese characters entire phrases and sentences? It confuses the shit out of me. I didn't
They
know
like
that was.
back stuff.
It's because the characters are like the lines that make up the character, like the full characters, if that makes sense. I think
Oh,
is how
They
it,
like
put them
stack
together.
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, if that's from my understanding. I don't know anything about any East Asian languages, but I think that's how it works.
Okay.
Because they were showing it in one of the footnotes that because I was trying to figure out why there were Chinese symbols. Like the whole footnote was basically Chinese symbols, and I was like, why? Well, how am I supposed to read this? And then I was
Yeah.
looking closely, and there's like they were showing like a letter, and then how that letter goes into like the word, I think, and it was like it was like in the bottom left corner of like the whole word, I think. I don't know.
I
I
know
think it was the
Korean.
thunderstorm one.
Yeah, I know Korean like does that. So like it'll stack. You can like stack their characters on top of each other to make like a phrase. I think. Don't quote me on that either. I think that's just I remember hearing that, but so I think it's just like a. It also works in like both directions, so you can have like
Damn, we're idiots.
like lateral and vertical. I think I don't know. That's and that was talking East Asian languages.
All right, thank you. All right, chapter 4. Robin sat up all night.
You're idiots. If anyone's listening to this for language advice, go to a different a different podcast.
All right.
You know,
Robin sat up all night thinking about his doppelganger. In the morning, he awoke late and ran to class with Ramy. Once there, they met a white girl and a black girl cohorts. Robin had no idea to talk no idea how to talk to women since they live such isolated lives. The black female introduced herself as Victoria Disgraves. The white one introduced herself as Lolita Price or Letty. Joining them was a postgraduate black man, Anthony Ribbon. Anthony took charge of showing them Babel, their primary building, as translation.
well, Babel.
Babel, sorry.
I'm just now realizing that Letitia is the white one.
Lolita. Yeah, it's Letitia. Is it Lolita or is it Letitia? I don't know if I wrote it wrong in here or.
I think it's Letitia.
Letitia. Letitia.
It's either Letitia.
Letitia. I think it's Letitia.
Prime.
I think it's Lolita, and I just miswrote it in the thing. So
Yeah, but then she's Letty too.
Miss
so it doesn't
Letitia.
matter.
maybe it is Letitia.
Oh my god.
All right. Anyways,
Anyone know that line? Okay, never mind.
Babel. They're probably building as translation students. They walk through legal, which was the college, is number one employer. On the third floor, they found live interpreters. On the fourth, literature. Those in this department are tasked with translating novels and works in popular culture. Anthony found it dreadful, but Victoria and Robin took immediate interest. The fifth and sixth floors housed instructional classrooms and materials. There, they discovered the grammatics, a record of the world's languages and inner workings. Also, the most highly secured part of Oxford. In the interest of Robin, he found the Eastern Asian work done by Lovell, which was extensive and impressive. From there, they continued onto the 8th floor, silverworking. The group was greeted by Professor Jerome Playfair. He gave them a spiel about how their vision at Babel was to connect the world under one roof, bringing fortune through interconnectedness. Playfair moved to the instruction table. Here he illustrates the magic of silver and, more importantly, language, casting magic that left the students speechless. Moving on, Playfair revealed that he must take the students' blood. It was to save them from the wards that guarded the towers. With that, the students were dismissed. They headed for the lunchroom, which had been largely picked over. Letty and Ramy got off to a bad start when Letty started assuming things about Ramy and his background. However, the group was soon laughing about Letty and Victoria's story about sneaking in as men to a facility. They were quickly caught. Robin and Ramy exchanged their tough encounters, and the group laughed. The group quickly bonded and became great friends. Their shared experiences bonded them. However, Robin's notes that the differences of their upbringings would bear unfortunate in the future. For now, Robin and Ramy walked to the girls' home, which was over 2 miles away, since they couldn't live on campus out of fear of attracting boys. On that journey, Victoria mentions the location of the twisted root. Robin senses his opportunity and seeks it out alone. There he finds his doppelganger, who confronts him with his entire life story and invites him for a drink. End of book one. We meet the side characters that we're gonna follow throughout the story. I was telling Christian, Letty is just in the book to be the annoying white
And
savior, like
well,
liberal
it's
chick.
so obvious. She's gonna be the antagonist. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna be the only one that's not on the
Yeah,
the Hermes Society because she's from England. Like it's
she has privilege that she's not recognizing yet,
Um,
despite the fact that she tries to play victim with the others in the group. She's of course white, so she doesn't have the same amount of victimization as the others.
this story feels too much like a middle school experience. It's supposed to be college. I need some like drugs and hazing and some other things mixed in.
Wait till we
Feel
get
like
to my chapters.
okay, perfect.
the Pendergast.
That's why I kind of compared it to Harry Potter, because like the characters interact with each other like they're not in college. I mean, I guess they've had some deprived social life, so maybe that could be part of it. But
If you wanted to read sex, we should have just read the icebreaker. That's what you guys are saying.
I did not want to read sex. I was glad this book was chosen.
I'd like to read a Robin and Ramy scene.
Oh, Jesus.
So Brokeback Mountain.
Just wait, maybe we'll get there.
I find the part about like the literature section, like the translating the literature, super interesting. Because I always do this with like my roommate Miguel. I'll be like, "How do you say this in Spanish?" And then sometimes he's just like, "Yeah, there's not really like a word that like there's not like a direct translation." And I always thought he was just like an idiot. But it turns out like you,
You're the idiot.
turns out there really isn't words for certain like there's not a one for one match in every language. So I told him about
Yeah.
that day. I was like, "Damn, I thought you were an idiot this whole time. I'm sorry, bro."
I do think that this part of the story is actually really interesting. Like the story based on like the language and like the power of silver working, I think is super cool. It's just like some of the other stuff is just too forward and like which just kind of turned me off from the story.
Yeah, I would separate it into categories. The learning of languages and how it affects the way they live in the world. Very interesting. enjoy following the story. The subtext around racism and colonialism is so forward and lacks any subtlety that it's just abrasive. So it's like, you know, I would
There's not
separate the
like a
two.
proper there's not a proper antagonist. Like we need a Voldemort character, not like white men as a whole.
Can't you see Letty and Professor Florville?
But Christian, the entire point is that racism is not subtle; it's in your face and it's everywhere.
Okay.
I think it's
Sounds
important. It's
pretty
important.
much.
It's obviously important to talk about, but I don't know if it needs to be
Like it'd be
every
better if
single
it's
page.
implied.
Yeah,
Like if it's implied and you like have to like think about it and jump to these conclusions instead of being forcefully told
or
this is
at the end you can kind of come to that conclusion or something. I don't know how you do it, but I think we're all on the same
Uh-huh.
page.
I just don't. I said historical fiction earlier, but it's like historical fantasy. I don't know if this is the proper genre to mix in those concepts. But we'll see. Maybe it'll turn out better than expected.
All right, chapter 5. We're going to book 2 now. It's
Book
book
two.
2, chapter 5. Sorry, my bad.
get booked up.
Robin is confronted by his doppelganger in the inn, who takes the opportunity to spread more information about Lovell and give his name, Griffin Lovell. Professor Lovell has a wife and kids, but he doesn't pay much attention to them. Griffin tells his half-brother that he steals for a living. He views himself in the Hermes Society as Robin Hood-like characters, stealing from the rich to benefit the poor. Furthermore, he's merely doing exactly what the British Empire does. In this conversation, he tells Robin that two of the biggest money makers for Babel is the military and slave trade. Babel is in the business of colonialism. Griffin moves fast, asking Robin to join or they'll depart from each other's lives. However, Robin is not ready to make a decision. With that, they agree to a 5-day timetable and depart temporarily. Short chapter. Any thoughts on the introduction of Griffin?
Like Christian already alluded to, like you didn't really get a chance to think about it, even you already kind of knew. So I don't know. I was kind of hoping for a curveball, like, oh, like I'm actually not related to you.
I sense
But
the author
I was
doesn't like plot twists.
I was wrong.
Maybe she's throwing smoke.
I mean, she might be what she might. Hey,
She
if she
could get
pulls
us.
one off later,
She could get
I
us.
I will
We'll tip the
I won't be
hat.
surprised.
We'll tip
I've
that.
had some theories.
We'll tip that.
Um, Not about Griffin, but I have a thought about Robin. His indecisiveness pisses me off.
Yeah, what a bitch.
He needs to, dude. Like we were at page 270, and spoiler alert, if you're listening, he still. Well, I hope you read. He still has not made the decision whether he's going to be a Babel student or he's going to be a part of the Hermes Society. So he needs to think about whether he wants to identify with England and colonialism or his true roots
Who was
really
like
fast.
who was the guy from the Great Game that was trying to play both sides and ended up getting like just murdered? Forgot his name. It was like the it was like someone
I think he was
one
in
of the
the.
kings of Afghanistan.
No, it was the guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I would have to look it up.
Oh no, it's the Yakub guy. Yakub I don't know. He was playing like the Chinese and the Great Britain colonies, and that didn't end up well. So
All right, with that, I'll move to chapter 6. We got another long one. Let me take a. All right. Robin landed in Playfair's translation class. In that class, Playfair uses hello as an example that no translation is merely a one-to-one correlation. Translation is much more complicated than that. Adding that translation is essentially rewriting the works of the original author. With that, you have the possibility of adding in your own biases to the translation. With that said, distortion is inevitable, but you must do it with care. Playfair then asks the students to name the principles of translation from their reading. It goes as follows. Translation conveys a complete and accurate idea of the original. Number 2, translation mirrors the style and manner of the original work. And number 3, translation should read with all the ease as the original work. With that, Playfair moves on, now talking about the name of Babel. revisiting the story from the Bible about the fall of the Tower of Babel, saying that God confounded the people who tried to build a tower to the heavens. In this, they believed they lost the original Adamic language. Playfair then moves to his bigger point, Oxford, the university, attempting to bridge this gap. And to get as close as possible to understanding all languages and connecting everyone. In his eyes, it's magic. Meanwhile, they also had class with the only woman professor, Margaret Craft. Letty tried to seek her advice as a woman in the university, but Craft made it clear that she wasn't interested in discussing gender norms. Red pilled. The following day, Robin had his solo Chinese class with Professor Chakravarti. They started by dissecting the language that left Robin feeling productive towards helping the study of grammatics. In the second half of their study, they analyzed ancient Chinese, but hit a couple of roadblocks that left them both confused. Robin pressed the professor about the existence of another Chinese speaker. He got the professor to admit the existence of Harley, but claimed he had passed away. Robin then asked about Chinese speakers more broadly, but Chakravarti claimed that they couldn't necessarily trust a true Chinese citizen, only one with Robin's upbringing. It was now time for Robin's dinner with Professor Lovell. He was greeted by Mrs. Piper, who he was very happy to see. It meant good food. Professor Lovell came down and congratulated him on his contributions.
We was very happy to see.
I'm reading a lot. Can you give me a break? Professor Lovell came down and congratulated him on his contributions so far. Now they talked as colleagues more than a guardian relationship. The professor laughed at Robin's jokes about the professor, in addition taking the opportunity to rebuke Playfair in his idea of a master language. Then continues to talk about the influence of dominant languages, specifically how there's a blending among them. To Robin, he admits that the Western languages are fading, that they must look to the East for silver making. Robin took the opportunity to press the matter, saying that there needs to be a fair exchange for the languages and contributions of these countries in the East. The professor argues that language is not a tangible thing and therefore shouldn't be exchanged, it should be shared. Robin proceeds by asking why Babel is so secure, why do they store their grammatics and have no interest in sharing their findings with other countries. Finally, he lands on his personal point, why couldn't the silver had saved his mom? This flusters the professor, and the tension is only broken by a knock on the door. It's world-famous Sterling Jones. With that, Robin is dismissed. Robin was infuriated. He didn't know his feelings for the place. He was split on the matter. He felt great pride in the university in some certain aspects, but Griffin had successfully planted the seed. He decided to etch his name in the courtyard as Griffin had instructed him.
Dun dun dun.
Aren't there's countries in the East up to this point in time that had enacted colonialism in themselves? I was just thinking. So we're kind of seeing colonialism in this like magnifying glass when really it's not just Western countries that took part. Think like the Mongols and Russia and Japan later on, closer to World War II.
Yeah, I think every country in the East would tell you Japan during the 1800s and 1900s was not the friendliest neighbor that's ever existed. So, obviously Britain is the biggest influence in the world. They were the world power at the time. But
Portuguese too, I would say. But
yeah, there's obviously other countries that are having it's not just white people necessarily, but this book certainly focuses on that.
Glad you guys were able to talk about some smart stuff. I'll take over here for chapter 7. The following Monday, Robin finds a note under his windowsill. It's in Chinese characters, and it's also a hidden code. Robin cracks the code, and it says, "The next rainy night, open the door at precisely midnight, wait inside the foyer, then walk back out at 5 past. Speak to no one, go straight home after, do not deviate from my instructions, memorize, then burn." At midnight on Wednesday, Robin shows up to the front doors of the tower and lets 2 members into the building, but never sees their faces. After 5 minutes, he leaves the building, and after a lot of anxiety, everything seems to have gone smoothly. After that, a few weeks passed where he acted like a normal student again and started to fall in love with Oxford and its people. The constant coursework and access to learning was amazing, but the thing that Robin truly cherished was his friendship almost as much as I cherish our friendship, boys. As as the group grows closer, Robin debates about telling the other three about, oh no, Babel, but never does. Why did I say Babel? About Hermes, but never does. Here is where we start to see the inner conflict for Robin that gets repeated over and over. He loves the people of Oxford and his friends and the access to knowledge, but will he be able to stay, and is he willing to work for the crown instead of helping others in need? The speech trying to see how to pronounce it.
This man's in the torture chamber.
I was clarifying for everyone.
For you,
Yeah.
you're the only one that's confused on it.
I said Babel the last like 5 chapters.
Fable,
Fable.
Fable.
I forgot I was writing these summaries, and then Tyler and I were texting, and then I was like, oh yeah, I definitely like 2 texts ago said I was gonna write these chapters after I'd already read them, so I had to go back and write them again, and it was pain. So don't expect a lot out of these. And with
Okay.
that, we'll go into chapter 8 because that chapter wasn't very interesting. I guess it was the first time they stole that he helped assist in stealing anything. If anyone wants to talk about that, but it becomes very common. So, all right, perfect. Chapter 8. After Robin assisted in the original theft with Hermes, he was asked to help in 3 more silver heists. During the 4th silver heist, a chatty third-year student named Kathy O'Neill came into the
Eddie
building
Cathy.
and started making small talk. Robin was able to remove himself from the situation, and on the way out, one of the hooded thieves asked Robin what she had said to him. Whoever this thief was, Robin thought to himself that the voice seemed awfully familiar. Probably Griffin, because it seems like Griffin was involved in all of these heists, but we'll get to that later. After Robin's 7th theft, he meets up with Griffin again to get a midterm progress report. Griffin refuses to tell Robin anymore about Hermes and says that this may not be sustainable, and Robin one day may have to fake his own death or get expelled from Babel if he wanted to join Hermes. Now I can't like say the word Babel without thinking Babel. Robin becomes
Also, I'm
concerned
pretty
about
sure. I think Hermes is Hermes, like an Hermes belt.
I don't know what that means, but I'll start saying that.
Is it?
What's it?
I know
I
that
think
is
it's Hermes.
is that how you pronounce that design company or the
I was corrected by my girlfriend this weekend. I was saying Hermes, and she said she laughed and said it was Hermes.
hot seat? All of
And
us because
We
I think
Rehearsal on this.
we
Rehearsal on
we
the
can play it for the viewers.
isn't there a Greek god called
Yeah, Hermes.
Hermes? Isn't it Hermes?
It's I'm pretty
oh, it's
sure
Hermes.
I'm pretty sure this like group is based off of the Greek god Hermes. Because he was like the god of I don't know what that said.
Okay, Hermes might be because it's French. It's French, and that we're just learning languages, guys. I
Okay,
think
so
Hermes is the French brand. Hermes is the group, I think.
okay.
Maybe
So
we are the middle schoolers that needed to be spoon-fed information.
To me, it's Hermes.
Why couldn't she leave a footnote on this? This would have been helpful. Like she could have told us if it's who it's based off.
Anyways, Robin becomes concerned about whether he wants to leave the comfortable walls of Babel to join Hermes. Later that week, Elton John Pendicis put on his expensive rose-tinted glasses and said, "I'm a rocket, man," and invited Robin over to his crib for some top-shelf drinks.
We're only into chapter 2 of your readings and you've lost it already.
I thought this was pretty fire.
That's pretty
I'm
funny.
a rocket, man. Little did Robin know Elton had planned to try and make Robin feel tiny, in parentheses, dancer. With that, Robin could not feel the love tonight, and he ended up dropping some super hot fire on Elton and saw himself out the front door. Finally, in this chapter, Victoire explains to the boys how difficult it is to be a woman at Oxford. That's
The
it.
more and more we keep going, I think we actually needed this.
I read her name as Victoria.
That's how I read it too.
That's how I did too originally. And I felt like an idiot. Like, who the fuck names their kid Victory? Victoire.
We might have to nominate it all for morons of the year.
I have no thoughts.
No thoughts either.
I thought Tyler was looking something up.
I was trying to see what if the author had like a.
All right, I'll move on to chapter
I've
9.
just been calling it Victoria because it's easier.
So actually,
Smart.
I did the same thing.
All right,
Yeah.
chapter 9. Chapter 9 marks the start of Robin's second year at Babel. During this chapter, Professor Playfair starts to tell the 4 students how cheap it is to maintain silver and how people on the outside view it as magic. Because of this, they're able to charge people large amounts of money for the silver. Finally, at the end of this lecture, Professor Playfair shows them a match pair they must never attempt, the concept of translation. He told them they must never attempt this. So I'm assuming eventually Robin will attempt this, or somebody will. Because of the lack of hiding her foreshadowing. During this term, they also have their first course with Professor Lovell as the instructor. Robin was worried about this, but to his surprise, it went pretty smoothly, and the students were starting to find what they were learning fascinating. That was a pointless sentence. Towards the end of the first term, a French scientist named Louise Jacques Monde Dagrure visits Babel in the hopes that someone can help him perfect his new invention, the Garotype. Anthony is able to come up with a successful match pair that allows the machine to perfectly capture still images. At Letty's insistence, the 4 of them sign up to have their photos taken. The others are repulsed by the final picture, but Letty decides to keep it and frame it, to signify their beautiful friendship.
Beautiful.
Some of these chapters are just bullshit.
I got
Yeah,
a French pronunciation of Victoria. Victor.
You're actually pretty close.
Wow.
Victoire.
Why was it such a deep voice? That startled
Yeah,
me.
why is that man's
Victoire.
voice is so soothing?
Tyler looked
Makes me
up
wanna take
French
my pants
ASMR.
Yeah.
Mine are off.
Victoire.
I'm gonna keep it Victoria. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Victoria.
Tyler kind of gave me like the most boring chapters ever, but whatever. Chapter 10, this is where I started I couldn't be bothered to go back through all the pages again, so I used an outside source. So this is just for this first paragraph, and the rest of it was me. But as per source, Midas Golden Touch on Reddit, shout out you.
Spark
Uh,
notes.
Around the same time, this is literally like copy and pasted this first paragraph from him. Around the same time, Griffin starts to pop up in Oxford on a more regular basis. A lot of times, Griffin tries to brief Robin before some planned theft, but other times he seems to just really want to chat, to Robin's surprise. Of course, Griffin never wants to chat about what Robin's really interested in, which is more details about Hermes and what they do with the stolen resources. But one day, Robin asks a question which Griffin is willing to answer. Does Hermes really think they can win against the likes of Babel? To Robin's disappointment and annoyance, Griffin proceeds to give him a brief lesson in Colonialism 101 and how all of the silver working resources and talent is flowing to Britain. Except as Robin knows, the British are running out of silver. It's now flowing into China. The British love Chinese goods, fabrics, teas, etc., but the Chinese people by and large don't care for British goods, so the British have to pay for goods in silver. Griffin predicts that one day Babel's prowess won't matter because Britain simply won't have the raw silver to produce anything anymore. At that point, the British Empire will fold in on itself. Oh, I almost just threw up in my mouth. All the silver working talent will follow the resources to China. For Griffin, Hermes is a way to just speed along the natural conclusion of the British Empire. Thank you, Midas Golden Touch. Now for me. The group later shows up to the tower to see a man who had presumably attempted to steal silver being dragged out with blood all over him from bullets set off by the wards. This shook Robin up and he brought it to Griffin's attention at a further meeting, but Griffin didn't seem to care and said it would be fine. The next week, when Robin assisted with yet another heist, the ward was triggered and Robin was shot. I thought he was going to die. Ended up that it only took a little chunk out of his elbow, but he was still pretty mentally shaken from the encounter. He was furious at Griffin because Robin had told him this could have happened, but Griffin did not give a fuck about Robin.
Least surprising thing that the next heist would go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, she just
As
lays it out for you.
as Robin predicted.
She literally just like lays out.
Robin was playing scared. That's what happens. You get caught in your heels.
If you want an answer to a question in this book, it will be answered either within the chapter or the next following chapter.
Robin is also like,
Well,
he's just such a bitch. Like everything he
I
like,
agree.
like everything he does, it's like he's just worrying, or he's like, yeah, he's just worrying, and then he's too afraid to say anything to this Griffin guy.
Thought he was actually going to take it. The one time he actually stood up to somebody was
Figuratively, or literally.
Remy,
both. He was gonna stand up to Penn. Well, he did stand up to Penn Dennis the one time he got invited over, and then at the ball, which we'll
yeah,
get to, I thought he was gonna fight him, and I was kind of getting excited about the
Bottom of
the
the truth.
aspects of him throwing hands for his
might be.
homies, but he never did.
Maybe it's character development. Remember the first, like one of the first chapters, he just runs away from the group that wound up.
He's
He
learning
might
to
pull up
stand
next
up for
time.
himself.
He might pull up next time with a gun.
He may shoot
might
up the
catch a
school.
And he's got a
He-
bob now.
He may catch
Yeah,
a
he
teardrop tattoo. He might show up next time with a teardrop.
He literally has a bomb.
Good foreshadowing, Kevin. It's like it wasn't planted there for some reason.
He blows up the tower. So
Back to now we're here. Back with chapter 11.
You're just as much as Asian as Robin is, Jared.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Me and my 1.5 languages.
All right. Chapter 11. The next few months passed in a blur, and Robin saw little of Griffin. Now, the group of students were entering their third year, known as the Siberian year, due to its difficulty. The tension grew upon the group. Letty and Victoria were hardly on speaking terms due to disagreements about their semester project. In addition, Letty and Ramy continued to scream at each other. Robin seemed the only one at least partially content. There was a much needed distraction, opportunities to shadow silverworking. However, even that was largely disappointing. They spent most of the time doing upkeep and very little time making their own inscriptions. Despite this, it did grant him a new opportunity. During a routine visit, they discovered a match pair that had ceased to work due to its age, granting Robin an opportunity in a new area on the fourth floor. It was there Robin discovered the effect of resonance, in that throughout England, silver is less potent and contains more alloys. They maintain these through iron bars stored throughout centers, the biggest being in Oxford. That way, they can reserve the more potent silver for endurance works like the Navy. It was a huge discovery for Robin and presented a huge opportunity for future missions. A couple weeks later, Robin noticed students dressed in all black. It was in memory of Anthony Ribbon, who had disappeared and was presumed dead. The tower carried on quickly, as if nothing had happened. It unlocked a deep troop to all of them. They were expanded. Robin feared the effect it would have on Victoria. Anthony was one of the only other black students. Despite Letty trying to push the conversation, it never went further.
I actually
Oh,
like
I
this
get
chapter.
this one too.
yeah, this one was so obvious again. What ends up happening with Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that I actually like though the story build, like the world building in the first part of this chapter though. Like it explains some more into the silver workings. So I appreciated that.
I'm not gonna lie. Do do you guys understand the silver working? Like do you
Yeah.
understand like what can you explain to me they're trying to find two words that share the same meaning, but they don't like they are a little different? Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
It would be like what you just said about Miguel, like words that don't have one-to-one translations and differ partly in meaning but have the same roots. So like the magic is in the difference in their translations, both the difference and the similarities. Like one of the examples was train cars that moved on their own.
Yeah.
So like the two words, one of them they both meant track. One of them though only one of them was like self-moving or some form of movement. So like in tandem, they both helped the car move along by itself. So it's
Yeah,
like linking the imperfections in language.
I still don't get like how they like how does I don't know.
I don't get how it activates. That's what I'm
It,
confused about. Like,
Oh, that's just the fantasy
That's just the magic.
aspect. Yeah.
oh, this is fantasy.
I think also a good point to add on to that is that the magic is stronger the less the translation has been explored, which is why they're so
Yeah.
the East languages
Yeah.
are more popular, and why their Robin's class is all.
so like
So that's like
as
a big point too.
globalism
Like,
occurs, the less powerful the magic is going to be.
Thank
yeah,
God you guys told me that
Because
this
more people understand the language, right? It's not like you need somebody who specializes in the language to activate the magic.
that's why
So
Griffin can't do the Chinese or the Mandarin, because he doesn't have a fluent enough tongue.
yeah.
Probably why Professor Lovell went back to the well and got Robin.
Actually, I think the meaning that Tyler is saying, like it dilutes a little bit, is as languages globalize, words tend to blend together, like languages tend to blend together and start to mean the same thing.
Yeah, there's more borrowing from language to language that happens when you.
Exactly.
I'm glad you guys told me that this was a fantasy book. I just I canceled my Amazon order for a bar of silver and a etching pen and Chinese for Dummies book.
And an inscription stylus.
You're gonna
What are you and
match pairs.
What are you
Yeah.
and Miguel up to in Dubuque, Iowa?
I ordered Chinese for Dummies, Russian for Dummies,
You
in
thought you were gonna
Sanskrit.
catch things on fire.
On the next
Book
episode
thing.
of Cops.
I was reading this book and I thought it was nonfiction.
I show up to like the bar and I'm just sitting there like I order a drink and then she goes, "That'll be like $8," and I just pull out a bar of silver, invisible, whooshing, and then I pretend like she can't see me. Just walk away. Go to like
You're
a
like
nice restaurant.
you're talking like, what an idiot.
Got him, boys. We got him.
Thoughts on the magic system? Do you enjoy it? Do you find it?
I mean, I think it's creative. Like, I don't like I said that comment. Like, I don't know how some of these authors come up with these ideas. Like, I think it's pretty interesting in that aspect. I have my complaints with the book thus far, but I think the baseline story of silverworking is interesting and different. So I also never read one of the Harry Potter films, so I couldn't tell you if it's exactly like it.
No, this is definitely different than Harry Potter. This is why I was more referring to like the schooling and the way the characters interact.
Yeah, I like the magic. I don't know. I think
I,
like other things, it's very simplistic. Like other things in this book, it's very simplistic and in your face. There's not a whole lot of like mystery behind how it works. But it's definitely a creative idea. And I think the one thing I enjoy about this book is like the discussion on translations and languages. So that being included in the magic makes it more interesting.
I thought there was gonna be more magic, to be honest. Like more sense of like this being a. I thought it was gonna be like a complete fantasy book. Like almost everything was gonna be like around. I guess it is all centralized around this magic system, but like Christian said, it's pretty simple and it's very like
We're only
actually
halfway through.
true. There could be like the Chamber of Secrets. They got the
Against
Sorcerer's Stone somewhere.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you.
until the page 250, I was noting this. Until page 250, no one had done anything cool with magic in my eyes.
Did they do
what
it?
happened on 250.
When Griffin explodes that girl's stomach.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
You know what I
Ripped up her guts.
mean. The gifted one. All right. Chapter 12. Griffin finally resurfaced a couple months later. Robin noticed he had sustained several injuries, a limp, and was looking thin. Robin pressed the issue, but Griffin brushed the concerns aside. Robin did confront him about the shooting incident, in which Griffin shared very little sympathy, a fact that irritated Robin. Along with the zero sympathy shown for Anthony, despite this, Robin bit his tongue. Griffin only requested a couple textbooks from him. A simple task. Junior year was terrible by all measures. The studies were intense and lacked any of the discovery that filled their first 2 years, or the hands-on experience of the fourth year. In addition, thieves and protesters frequented the tower. One group of mill workers pelted Ramy and Victoria with eggs. The students discovered this was because Playfair had made an invention, one that put hundreds of them out of work. Lovell expressed zero sympathy. They were merely poor people who refused to work towards human progress. Silverworking was spearheading the Industrial Revolution, and Babel should be proud of that, not concerned with the idiots who stood in the way of progress. And I put in parentheses, learned to code. Lovell. However, this was a wave across London. The industrial age only broadened the economic gap, and the economy was in recession. Babel became a symbol of oppression, and the signs were tough to ignore. Despite the removal of protesters by the police, the press continued to slam the university. School didn't get any easier. It was the time of the year fourth-year examinations and third-year examinations were approaching. In fascinating fashion, the results of fourth-year examinations were read aloud to everyone. It was exciting for those that passed with honors and those who passed, like Luke McCaffrey, Nebraska QB. However, they also announced failures. It was one student. He was publicly embarrassed, then made to move, but Playfair made a move on Playfair, but was held back. Then Playfair destroyed his vial, causing immense pain. He was then tossed down the steps. It was medieval, but of tradition. Robin was greeted by Griffin again. This time, he was even worse. His wounds had expanded and were more visible. This was the breaking point for Robin. He had to know more. He confronted Robin about his new plan that involved explosives. Griffin countered that he sympathized with the colonizers too much. Robin finally got Griffin to give a reason for the escalation. Britain had plans to take Afghanistan under its sphere of influence. This wasn't convincing to Robin. He didn't feel like Griffin's movement was making any substantial progress. Griffin again re-engaged with Afghanistan, saying that Britain was using foreign forces to fight the Afghans, that those soldiers used the same logic as Robin. They serve the Emperor to stay safe. England pits the real victims against each other. With that, Robin declared that he was officially out. Griffin threatened him if he ever spoke, and the two departed. Little throwback to the great game. We're well read in this group.
Using sepoys.
Oh yeah,
They were
Tyler,
using sepoys.
you told me to prepare a blurt on our parallels with the great game. I did not, but
Okay, let's move on.
but there's some parallels. We talked the king was it the Qing, I don't even know how you say that. Dynasty was mentioned, that was talked about in the great game. Also Peking is Beijing, so look at us. Hope everyone was able to bridge the gap there when they talked about that. No? Just a couple nods.
Yeah. Me, teacher.
That one passed. That one passed my mind. The Afghanistan one I got.
And obviously we knew about the British sphere of influence going into Asia, so we'd understand maybe Ramy's point of view a little bit more. So yeah, that was books intertwining.
They interestingly failed to mention Russia, country in the east.
Yeah, I was also surprised with the lack of Russia. They talk about Napoleon a lot through conversation, but
yeah, it's only the Western countries that are getting picked on here, huh?
Going back to the first part of the summary, where Robin noticed he had sustained several injuries in the limp for Griffin when they met right after the wards went off at the last heist and Robin got shot. Does that just mean Griffin got shot at that one too and sustained injuries?
I didn't take that. I kind of thought that Griffin had sustained his injuries in his own efforts.
Griffin's been hot on the block. That's what I kind of picked up.
And then the part along with zero sympathy shown for Anthony. Like I
Yeah, I
put
mean,
like
Anthony
you
is.
could,
I mean, we already know, but Anthony was so obviously in.
yeah, he was
in
just clearly
the
alive still.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's like, yeah,
it makes sense that he has zero sympathy because he knows he's alive, but he doesn't necessarily. I mean, but there's a chance that, since they're so disconnected, that Griffin doesn't know. But Griffin could also be lying
level,
about that.
I
you
mean,
know, like
and
big
she talked.
Kuang about
Yeah, they were showed no sympathy because, or like they were just like quiet about it because everyone besides Letty knew he was still alive. Basically, you could even tell. I feel like she even made it sound like the Babel staff knew, just because like they were like, all right, not even like a ceremony because they probably knew that he was a part of the underground.
Yeah, the Hermes. That it's clear that the staff is like even before Professor Lovell says it, it's very clear that the staff knows about the Hermes Society and like students joining it. So
Yeah, I'm wondering how they don't have like investigators and police on the matter. Like, how's Griffin not been found?
or even like
Well,
double agents. Like when Lovell brought uh what's his face?
why they don't have
Located
security at the tower besides some magic spells, even though it gets hit like every other night.
well, even Professor Lovell was like, what's it? Professor Playfair is just like too oblivious, but Lovell was kind of like onto him because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they don't show deeper caring for securing the tower. That's beyond me. But
Talk about how
Dr.
much
Lovell's up.
money it makes, and then they put zero security in front of it, just some magic spells. Call it good every night.
yeah,
Hey, it got better. Systems were upgraded.
We'll see that here. All right, we enter book 3, chapter 13. Despite some worries, Robin did not hear from Griffin at all. Instead, he was stuck worrying about his exams. It would be 2 3-hour long essay exams and 1 oral. In addition, a silver working test. If they failed any of these exams, they would fail out of school. If they failed the silver working portion, they would be barred from the 4th floor. It built up a tense environment, and students frequently broke down. This included Letty, who went into a whole rant about not knowing German despite delivering the entire rant in the language. For Robin, he lost a significant amount of sleep, had difficulty sleeping, that says the same thing, and even was hallucinating people. This included Anthony, who he thought he saw in the bookstore. Wow, he thought he saw him. Robin feared the silver working test the most. However, Kathy O'Neill did provide some hints that led Robin to a library book. It gave several hints. First, stay away from religion. 2, look for cognates, which is words that share common ancestry. And however, this did come with the risk of false friends, words that seemed to come from the same source but had nothing to do with each other. And 3, how to utilize daisy chaining, creating a link between several languages to improve the connection between them. Despite the hints, they still needed to find inspiration. In the history books, they found the works of Evelyn Evie Brooke, who seemed to produce the most match pairs. However, her contributions had completely disappeared after 1934. This sent a chilling thought among the group. With that, the exam week came for Robin. The first exam was Professor Chakravarti's translation. Robin felt largely good, but acknowledged some mistakes. Next, he took Professor Kraft's written exam. He was less sure about this one. Following this, it was Professor Lovell's written exam, which was challenging, but Robin felt strong with the prompts. The oral exam proved to be easy, as Robin had read Playfair's source of prompt. That led to the steel working portion. Robin was the second, and Letty stormed past him, pale-faced. Robin was shaking, but Professor Chakravarti worked to calm him. Robin began to explain he wanted to connect Mingbai, meaning to understand, but it means more. It contains imagery. It has a visual component of making clear to shine a light on. With that, he wrote Mingbai on one side and understood on the other. The effect was amazing. A warm light came from the silver and enveloped enveloped them both. With that, he walked out confidently. He was excited to find out that Letty had experienced the same thing. Voltaire was the last to take the test.
what?
Voltaire.
Just it's
Pokemon.
so.
Voltaire is a famous artist or a famous author,
And revealed
I
that they
think.
had all passed. To Robin, the memory would live on forever.
Voltaire.
Voltorb.
Oh, autocorrect. I don't know.
Voltorb.
Any thoughts on the connection he ends up making? You think it was cool to understand?
I,
I mean, by
I didn't really understand even
What happened?
I didn't understand the silver working. Yeah,
it's not clear like
Yeah.
what actually happens. Just like I guess it makes a light.
it's like a light bulb. Is it like the light bulb effect, or like light bulb?
to understand.
Going to
Maybe.
the moon.
So he passed. They all pass.
I wish some of the magic was like a little more creative. Like I wish it did like crazy shit. Like I guess going invisible is pretty crazy, but like everything else is pretty
I mean,
this level.
that's what I'm
I'm
saying.
sure there
The
is some
person
crazy.
that has fun with it is Griffin. Clearly. Any other thoughts on the chapter?
Someone put that sound bite and put it in the sound thing.
All right. Any thoughts on that chapter?
Um
I wish one of them didn't pass, so we could get some. Let's
Yeah.
raise the stakes here. Like, let's.
It did feel like there was a lack of consequences until we got to the end, page 270, basically.
Even
I think-
then,
Yeah, there's not real
thought the,
consequence.
I thought the Effie storyline was it was I didn't expect what we end up. Did we find out yet? I wasn't listening to the last part of your summary, to be honest.
What
I
are
heard you
you,
say
what are you, what are you
sorry,
talking about?
It's broken. It's broken.
I'm not functioning. That's why I had to preface that at the beginning of the
Any,
the Evie storyline.
yeah.
I did not expect that turn to happen. Like normally the author foreshadows like very you can tell like where it's gonna go. And then when we learned that she got her stomach blown out, I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. So that was
Yeah.
like nice surprises, I guess. Not nice
I thought
surprise,
she was.
but
I thought she was a part of herpes society.
Amen.
Pause.
Herpes.
All right, chapter 14. We're almost there, boys. We're almost there. Just a little.
I'm getting slap at.
Yeah, I am too.
The school year was finished. They had the entire summer ahead of them. The group now focused on the commemoration ball. Letty offered to buy Victoria her ticket. Robin and Ramy chose to work for it. On the day of the ball, they discovered why it was considered so wonderful. Extravagant food, decorations, and alcohol were flowing everywhere. While the pair worked, Letty and Victoria arrived. They were dazzling and quite beautiful. Despite this, Colin came over and made a racist remark. We're back to racist remarks towards Victoria, thinking she was working the event. This was followed by Vincy Wolcom, who nicely asked Victoria to dance and spoke French to her. With the work done, the boys now could enter the ball as guests. Then they heard a commotion. It was Colin and Elton John Pendinus sexually harassing the girls. Robin jumped in and confronted them. After a tense moment,
We're not laughing at the sexually assaulting the
I
girls,
know,
by the
no,
way.
we're laughing at it. After a tense moment, they both left without fighting. However, the tension continued outside among the group, with members blaming each other. Despite the differences, they stumbled upon a private party and had a wonderful time with minor hiccups, including Letty crying about Ramy not wanting her. With that, they headed to walk the girls home. Walking through a graveyard, there they discovered the grave of Evelyn Brooke Evie that confirmed her death. The group thought it was suspicious, but continued home for the summer. This is what I'm talking about. Like if you want to figure out the answer to something, you find it out in the next chapter. It's like they introduce Evie and her contributions to like silver working in the chapter before that she was so gifted, and then the next chapter tells you that she's now dead, and then the following chapter tells you that she had been murdered. So it's like
Isn't that how a book works though?
no, like usually you can revisit thoughts, you know?
No, I know.
Shout out to the one guy spitting some game in French.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, so
know.
far.
It was kind of. Do you
Then
think he was like part of sexually harassing them though? I didn't. The book. I always sort of seemed like the book was saying that, like he was part of the group doing it.
I think he's in the friend group, but he was like genuinely interested in
Yeah.
her. That's what the way it came off to me as.
I think so too.
Also, I thought my boy Robin was going to make a move. I was hoping.
On Rami, I didn't expect Ramy.
No, on the girls. But I should not assume.
I don't think he's interested in that way.
Christian is
No,
manifesting this.
They said that Ramy, he said Robin was like, why don't you, like, she's obviously interested in you, talking about Letty, why don't you like go for it? And Ramy was like, Robin, I'm not interested. Like, I think he was kind of putting it out there that he's not interested in women.
No. He said it's because he's not white,
Yeah, he
and
said
he's like
it'd
he
be
said
too
the
difficult.
culturally, yeah, like it wouldn't be
Oh,
accepted.
I completely
Christian wants this to happen so bad.
Christian wants this romance so bad. He wants it to be all. He wants the second half of the book to be them in the dorm room going at it in the twin bed.
They elope.
broke back Babel.
No, I don't.
Hey, man, if you want romance, you can pick a romance book. All right, chapter 15. Last chapter and then the interlude. You want me to read them both at the
Actually,
same time?
I have one more
Yeah.
comment.
Okay, I'll read them at the same time. Wait, go ahead, Ken.
Something ridiculous.
Cut it. Pre-cut.
No, it's not that bad. It's kind of serious. When is Elton John gonna become like part of the? Is he just like
Probably
throwing
is.
shade at people,
I don't know.
or is he gonna be part of like the? What's the significance of his character?
He's not in Babel. He's just like
No, yeah,
He's one of the jocks. He's one of the jocks.
yeah, he's to show a contrast between like those that are there to actually study and like the rich aristocracy, like British social class kind of norm
Nailed that.
of
Yep, that was
What's
hot.
wealthy.
What's that one movie that I was talking about? Salt,
Real hot.
Saltburn.
Saltburn.
He's like the
Saltburn.
kids in Saltburn. Yeah,
I did watch that this last weekend.
interesting movie.
Good movie. I liked it.
All right, chapter 15. The summer brought great times. The responsibilities were gone, and they enjoyed almost every day together. Summer was filled with exciting news like the coronation of Queen Victoria and a group trip to London. There, they speculated on where their fourth-year graduation trip would take them. In addition, an American, Samuel Morse, auditioned his new technology working on pure electricity. No match pairs needed. A single line telegraph. The first one was installed between Babel and London. The professors invented Morse code, and the students were tasked with working and translating it. Robin was tasked with the late night shift, and most of his nights he sat unbothered. However, one night he noticed two sneaky figures approaching the tower. It was Ramy and Victoria. Robin made their choice to ignore their efforts. Ignorance was bliss. In spite of this, he was forced into action. On their way out, they encountered a ward that caught them up in a net. Robin ran out to free them. Robin asked who sent them. They revealed it was Anthony Ribbon. ... Robin thought he was dead. With that, Ramy and Victoria disappeared into the night. Robin waited for the police. They escorted him to a cell, and he was greeted by Professor Lovell. Lovell professed how disappointed he was. He had given Robin everything. Robin tried to defend himself with Griffin's talking points, but couldn't bring the words to his mouth. The professor asked if Griffin had recruited him, and Robin confirmed. It was there that the professor revealed that Griffin had killed Evie using a special silver bar, bursting her insides open, spreading the room with blood. From there, the professor made Robin choose between Babel and the Hermes Society. In an act of self-preservation, Robin chose Babel. In this, he told the professor about the location of St. Aldates. The professor finished by telling Robin that he had blown his second chance. There wouldn't be a third. And now we get an interlude from Ramy's perspective. Ramy was brilliant and grew up among the rich families of Calcutta, specifically under the watch of Sir Horace Wilson. Sir Wilson invested a lot into Ramy's education. When Sir Wilson accepted a job at Oxford, he took Ramy with him. With that, he departed from his family at the age of 14. His father told him to hide his Muslim faith, and Ramy did it well, integrate himself into high English society. However, there was a hole, an anti-colonialist thought deep within his soul that sat for many years. That was until Anthony Ribbon appeared from the dead and offered him a chance at resistance. Bum bum bum. All right. Thoughts on these twists here. Ramy and Victoria are part of the same society that he was a part of, and Anthony Ribbon is back from the dead.
Ramy at least had the balls to know what he wanted and to say yes off the jump rather than toe the line like our boy Robin has decided to do and get back in bed with the colonialists.
Yeah,
So
Robin.
That's all I have.
when Professor Lovell said that it was his, like he said there won't be a third chance, what was the first chance? Or was he saying that like he knew that Robin was lying still? And that was like,
I'm not
so
sure, honestly.
because I'm wondering
The
if he
first chance,
knows the first chance was like that instance getting caught, and then second chance was he knew that Robin was lying, and he was saying,
no, I think the first was the beating he gave him after reading for too long.
That's what I
damn,
took it as.
that's a short leash. Only
Uh,
gets 3 strikes at life.
Actually, I do have a comment. So, Robin told Professor Lovell that he was only working with Hermes for 3 months. But then Professor Lovell recalls the gunshot wound in his shoulder from the wards, which would have occurred way further back than 3 months.
Yeah, I think
So,
Professor Lovell's onto him.
I think so too.
Because you're saying that Playfair was taking like the benefit of the doubt and was just like, oh, how did
It's
the ward
rowing.
attack him?
Yeah, either an author oversight or Professor Lovell,
I think
like,
Professor
just
Level.
playing it onto him.
I think Level's onto him because he's experienced it with Griffin is the way that I kind of read it. So he's kind of probably knows a lot about the
Honestly,
Hermes Society.
it's probably smart from Professor Lovell's side to not. 'Cause if he like expels him, like he knows that Robin's just gonna be all in on Hermes, and if he keeps him around, especially because he knows Robin's like behavior and like his character, and he knows that if he's put in a tough situation, he's probably just gonna like speak up like he did just there. So he knows if he keeps him around, he can probably gain more information than just expelling him for what he did and then losing that like passage to that information.
Why can't they torture everyone that's in Hermes with the blood that they use to enroll in the university?
What are they, witches?
Well, because they used it in the circumstance to torture that one student that failed his examination, so why can't they use it?
Well, they said it like
Well, they just threw it
seemed
away.
like they said it seemed like it crushed him, but I think it was more of like the fact that he was no longer a student that
Yeah,
like
I think
it was like
I thought
symbolism.
I'd have to read
that's
it
what I
again.
thought it was as too. Like I think they just like threw away his blood so like he couldn't get back into the university.
Okay.
basically.
Maybe I just read it wrong.
I think it just like destroyed him like mentally, like not working so hard at that and then not getting.
I'm hoping we get a couple curveballs because
And this next section will hopefully be pretty interesting here. I feel like these last 2 chapters are actually
I mean, it does feel like Letty's gonna discover this and turn them in at a certain point. I mean, like, I don't want to be like, here's the plot line, but it does feel like Letty's character arc is pretty obvious what she's gonna end up doing. I will be surprised if she goes the other way.
so why?
I mean, she may play along for a week or two, but
that's if they
I'm
even. I wonder if they include her in on the conversations. Like, what's this first conversation going to be like when? Because then if 3 of them know and one doesn't, then it's kind of like, how do you hide those conversations when you're?
well the way that she set it up at the beginning of the book was like when she said that their relationship would never be the same, and I think it was just kind of all of those three, Victoria, Remy, and Robin were all like three outsiders of Oxford, whereas Letty was like the high society English. So I don't know. That's just the way that
Yeah, I'm interested to see this dynamic for this next section.
I think someone dies. That's my hot take. I don't know who.
Guts exploding again.
I think Ramy is the obvious choice here. I mean,
I don't know who, but
yeah, I mean, I think you're right too. I think ultimately, I think Ramy's chalk because he means the most to Robin, and usually if you pick the person that means the most to the main character, you're right on the right track. So,
Experienced
seasoned
vet,
vet. Yeah.
a fantasy vet.
fantasy. I mean, that's it's.
We got a lot of
But he's not
history
he's not a historical fiction vet though.
Yeah.
So
we got a lot of history buffs, fantasy vets. I'm waiting for my time to shine when we read a romance novel.
I think if you guys want to talk about overall thoughts, I'll give mine. Um, there are parts.
All right.
All right, Tyler, do you want to give your thoughts on the book thus far?
Hey, I will. Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't think we have to talk about like certain things that we've already talked about. Like obviously, there's the linguistic part that all of us are sort of interested in, but maybe not understand to the fullest extent. And then there's the parts we don't like. Some of the historical background is a little weird how she inserts it. Some of it's interesting, some of it's not. It's been hit or miss. I think the plot is finally starting to kick off where there's real consequences. So there's parts of this book where I was rolling my eyes for sure so far of like, oh, here we go. Doesn't feel like we're going anywhere, but page 270, it feels like we're finally starting to get somewhere. So I hope we don't revert. I hope we're on a high pace for the rest of the book.
Yeah, page 270 felt really good.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
That was it.
Okay.
I don't want to repeat anything. I feel like we've beaten a dead horse at this point with all this stuff, but
Yeah, I think we've voiced our gripes, and we're hopeful for an exciting ending.
Yeah, I'm still hopeful for the future. I think
No, there's plenty of room for an increase in score to happen. I think if you end strong, it can make up for any beginning.
I guess
All I can
Christian, you go first. I have a different topic that I was going to discuss.
Okay. All I was gonna say is I don't know if I've been necessarily excited to pick up the book thus far, and I think tonight marks the first time where like I'm excited to get into bed and start reading the
Explode your guts.
at first and then start reading the next page requirement.
That kind of leads me into my point I was going to make. I know Jared's hot take is someone's going to die. Christian's hot take is Ramy and Robin are going to fornicate. Brazel, you got any hot takes?
no, I agree with Joe. I think Rami's dead. I don't know when.
Robin?
And no, Ramy. And I think ultimately Letty is going to be turned on them. I think those are my two predictions.
I think playwrights in on the Hermes Society.
Playfair?
Yes.
Playfair.
Okay. That's my prediction as well. I think some of the faculty is in on this.
That's a good point.
Secret
Chakravarti?
society.
Maybe.
I feel like it's like a no one knows who's in it and who's not. So no one like will say anything, but then once you know, I feel like a lot of things are going to start opening up now that there's
I can
three
say
of them.
confidently that Professor Lovell is not it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good call.
they've
Miss
talked
Piper
about
might play a role, I think, too.
Piper's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talked about faculty politics, and I almost wonder if like the ones that had recruited these non-white students are the ones that are also in on the Hermes Society. Professor Lovell did play a part in recruiting. I don't know. Maybe there's a twist in there. Maybe he's like Professor Snape, where you think he's part of the evil group, part of the antagonists. He turns out to be one of the good ones.
Is he? I actually was going to make that exact same analogy. Is he Chinese, Professor Level?
No, he's English.
No.
Okay, yeah. And then he just went to China to make a offspring, make a little bot, two little bots. All right.
Yeah,
Colonialism by planting the seed.
I seed, yeah.
He's a direct colonist.
Correct. That's why I think he's the ultimate antagonist.
Y'all.
He planted his colony inside of
He
Robin,
exploded his
Robin
gut.
Mother.
I feel like we're losing the plot.
Yeah.
That's on track, Brazel.
Okay, no problem.
should
All right.
move on.
When we come back, we will be doing the competition portion of meeting one. It will be Scriblio for this time. So when we come back, I am very excited to introduce that.
Welcome back to the competition portion of today's episode. Some are saying that this is called the Kevin competition, others just call it Scriblio. contestants, tune into the YouTube to watch this part, because otherwise you're just gonna hear us kind of laughing at each other and going, "No, how do you spell that?" over and over.
That's me.
Basically, this competition is just online Pictionary, so I believe Tyler has this all set up, ready for us to go. So without further ado,
Tyler actually is leading the competitions for the year. So
Is it what competition?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
This will be my
Shut up.
last lead of the year.
actually, we need to set a reminder on that. We need to come up with a punishment for the loser.
God.
All right.
Well, look. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
ready.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Christian
Oh,
up.
me.
Christian to draw.
Man, I spelled it wrong. It's devastating.
Yeah, it's tough.
How did I spell this so wrong?
I couldn't spell.
It
Oh,
was just that it
close
was
to it.
not plural. Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, I'll take that.
Christian.
Dang.
Come on now.
My
Dang
God.
it.
My God.
I know the trick. I know Kevin's tricks. You
Yeah.
start guessing words.
Yeah, you just fly.
God.
Tic-tac-toe. Fence.
Oh, I know this.
All right.
I just butchered. I probably just said something like super offensive in some language. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's a flying penis.
There we go.
Yes.
Christian at the buzzer.
Spelling. All right, Christian's in first place after round one. We have 4 rounds to start, so.
Yeah, I don't know why we only got 2 options this time. It kind of puts you in a box.
Here he goes. The guessage again. I have no clue what this is.
Oh, I don't want to fill. I don't want to fill.
I mean, my first guess was frown.
Tyler, this is easy.
Oh dear God, it's a giraffe.
I don't know what it was. How is that easy?
A thief?
Like a thief in the night.
Uh, that's what I was thinking.
Uh, got it.
I oh,
What?
that's actually a good drawing.
It's not
Got it
bad.
at the end.
Oh, nice. Fuck, I should have looked at the word list. Probably where I go wrong.
Oh my God.
Kevin's got a big lead after round 2. Or round 1. Here we go again. We should include that word. All right.
Oh, big word, big word, big word.
What in tarnation?
Got Jared got it.
Ah,
This is big for the leads, lead wise.
Oh, there we go. End of round 2. It's Kevin in first. Me
It's
in
a close
last.
game. That's the closest
Depends
we've
on
been in
the-
a while.
I'm the worst
This is
Scribbler
a
player of all
close
time.
one.
I think I finish last every time.
No, not Phil. You.
Midnight.
This is not going well. I'm sorry. I don't know what else
Clock
to do
tower.
besides start over. Oh God,
Oh no, it's a disaster.
this is bad. Please let it end.
Oh.
Oh God,
That's a
is that
tough
Big Ben?
That's a tough
It
one.
was big, man.
That's a tough one.
Oh, I sold the competition.
I don't know if anyone's gonna get this. It's tough.
Is she spelling the word?
Abracadabra. Magic.
I guess.
Magician.
I don't know how I said.
Whoa, I guessed
Oh,
invisibility.
So
Damn it. I just blew my chance to get back in this game.
I didn't know what else to.
I just got the word Chinese again, so now I'm cornered into taking this word.
No,
That was so close, Christian.
can't type.
Well, all right. I'm down bad.
Christian, we got chance.
It's really close here.
We do.
Eh.
Brother, what is going on?
What? No way. Oh,
There we go, Christian.
No,
I should conspire to not let Kevin win. That's really what I should do.
no. I don't know what it is.
I don't know either.
Woo!
Oh,
Ah, shit.
Shit.
oh my God.
Last second.
how did Kevin get that?
Last round, it's almost a 2-horse race. Jared can
Oh shit,
sort
there's
of
another
head.
round. I thought that was it.
I
I
I
wanted
need I needed that. I needed that word. God damn it.
Oh God. Oh God.
Ocean. Poop. We're back to poop. Uh-oh, Kev. Uh-oh, Kev.
Oh.
Uh-oh, Kev.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. He's gonna get it at the end.
Kevin's
I
nailing the
can't
synonym.
get it.
Oh!
Oh my
Oh.
gosh, she blew it.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh no.
Got ourselves a game.
got ourselves a
Everybody's kind of close.
got ourselves a, if I wouldn't have blown that one.
This is such a bad drawing.
Oh no, Kevin
No.
got it. I have no clue what this is.
I was so close. Oh, sorry. I just sold it. Just gave it away.
Tyler, they have the answer.
Tyler, I just gave it away. Tyler, I just gave it away.
That was a really bad drawing, to be
All
fair.
right, Christian's still in first place. I think this
Dude, are you kidding me? I've gotten the word Chinese every time.
Kevin basically needs me and Jared to answer this question, and Christian not to.
I mean, you guys aren't going to get this.
S. Something with an S.
Let's go.
It's like a top hat, like a graduation. Oh, Christian, big.
You guys are never. It's a hard word.
Scholar. Christian.
Congrats to Christian.
When
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
can catch.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
I don't think I can
Oh.
catch it.
Well, if he doesn't answer.
I don't know how many you get.
All right, it's all up to Tyler.
4-letter word. What?
Oh no.
Oh no, it's a collapse. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, it's a collapse.
Stop it. Stop it. What is this?
It's a
I
collapse.
don't think I can win.
Oh no.
Jared beat me.
It's a collapse. Oh, Christian. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my god.
I think I
Yes.
finished in last place in the last 5 comments.
Always. I
That
thought
was
it
electric.
incredible.
All right.
I thought
We're getting better. We're getting better.
I thought that was an all-time jinx moment
Mine
right there.
was so dumb.
Christian not getting the last one of stuff.
Wow. Congrats to Christian.
Thank you.
I jinxed myself at the beginning of this.
All right.
That was a close match. I think the rest of us are. I think the competition is starting to bridge itself a little bit in Scriblio.
Brazel, you're gonna have to start going on like paint and sip dates with your girlfriend. Start
Maybe I need to do the word bank myself and not let you guys have access to it to give myself a chance.
No.
No.
you eat shit.
Well, congrats to Christian. He ties up the season standings at 1 apiece. I mean, me and Kevin look to get on the board next week with meme competition.
Yeah, the reigning champion, reigning co-champs, held scoreless this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
and then
Oh,
we got
the tables.
the return of Snake Draft in meeting 3 to look forward to.
Oh, I love that. That'll be. I don't know how we're gonna do that for this book. Favorite colors. Now choose silver. 1-1.
That's true.
Favorite match pair?
Yeah, favorite match pair. Favorite relationship. Whether see what we find out.
We'll find something. All right.
Yeah, so that was a long, but that was a good meeting overall. Yeah, but for the next episode, we'll be reading through chapters, was it 15 through pause 15 through
Next 100 or so pages.
pages 275 to 411, chapters 16 to 23. So we'll be reading those sections next. If you're planning on reading along with us, make sure to subscribe and follow along in our Discord. But yeah, looking forward to another great episode next week, and we'll catch you guys.
Bye.
Peace.